This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
I'm Phil Kitramilides.
And I'm Sid Lowe.
And every week we bring you the latest from La Liga in the Spanish football podcast. Sid, this season's going to be amazing, isn't it?
We've got Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid, Dani Olmo at Barcelona, and Julian Alvarez at Atletico.
Don't forget Nico Williams at Athletic Club as well.
And definitely don't forget Leganés. Their mascot is literally a giant cucumber.
Hear all about it every Monday in the Spanish football podcast.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Post-Match Raw. I am your cup host, Guy Drinkle, as usual, back with a bang. I am joined by Jim and Karl. I actually have full-time Raw guests, so we're going full here. Not to discredit my old gang, but look, they're actually interested. We win a cup and they get interested. But you heard him chuckling there in the background. It's Jim. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's a good cup, this, isn't it? It's my favourite cup when we've just won.
It is. Plus, it's our cup. None of that Man City bollocks. None of the Man City bollocks, because they cheated, as we know. And Karl, how are you, Karl?
Well, as it's a cup Raw, I'd like to do things the completely wrong way round and just start by eulogising Kostas Tsimikas, grenade-smothering hero.
Yes, after his 7 pints at half-time, as a seemingly, which we will come to in good time. As we usually do, we go through the starting 11s and whatnot. Jim, I'll start with you. Liverpool's starting 11, we kind of expected heavy rotation, and heavy rotation we goddamn got.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 9 changes, and the strange thing was it was the 9 changes, but like most of the 9 were on the bench. Like it felt like it. I think we only had Konate, Gravenberch's missing from the starting lineup at the weekend, so the others were all either on the bench or on the pitch, something like that. Anyway. Yeah, we knew we wanted him to rotate because he hasn't done much of it so far. And it is sort of only the League Cup, although, as I just said, it's nice when we've just won it and things. But, you know, you don't want to kind of risk everything for the League Cup. And he's definitely not done that. And he was good. I think it was just important for some of these lads to actually get a game. Certainly the back four haven't really played. Have they ever played together, this back four? Maybe. But he didn't feel like it at times tonight. And maybe that's the issue with kind of making quick wholesale changes. I think I would rather us do a more sort of blended rotation from one game to the next. But I think it's something that Slot said when he was sort of being asked over the summer where all the signings were was, I've already got a strong squad. And I think tonight that kind of showed that, because when you looked at the starting 11, if this had just been some sort of random game, even some league game being played around now, and you'd seen that starting lineup, there's no one in it particularly that you would have gone, oh, why is he starting? You'd have been, okay, fair enough. It's just, I think the fact they were all in at once just made it feel a bit at times, I don't know, they're a little bit rusty. Maybe I hadn't quite sort of taken on everything, all the new lessons from Slot as well at times. We felt at times we weren't keeping the ball as well as we should have done. And maybe that's something that'll come with time. So I hope as this season goes on, these all get more chances, but maybe not all at the same time like this.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the UP boys always champion playing together, especially Simon. He always talks about players not playing substantial minutes together, and I think we did see that, especially in the first half, as you kind of alluded to. But we'll come on to that. And Karl, coming to you, West Ham were awful at the weekend, playing a really weird back five formation with Edson Alvarez playing at centre back. maybe they should have left him on the bench considering what he went and done. But yeah, Karl, what did you make of the West Ham lineup? A bit of rotation there, and some of the new faces and some old faces in there.
Yeah, I didn't much like it, in all honesty. Like individually, obviously, there's a lot of decent names who there's no particular problem with or anything like that. I mean, like people like Karl there coming in, obviously from the cold. Like he's obviously a good player. He's had a very, very good career as a whole, but the last couple of years haven't been great. And then he's coming in for first start in still a new team. But then the players that you're asking him to join up with have kind of come in from the cold as well. So there's not really anybody with rhythm to help him to get the best out of him. If you've got Ings ahead of him who doesn't really play, and Souček behind you is more or less in or out now, it's going to be difficult for that kind of player to come in as well. So that back line, I really, really don't like the look of so far that they've played this season. Obviously, there's a little bit chopped and changed tonight, Jafal coming in and all the rest of it. But Fabianski, I mean, we've spoken about him for a number of years and he should have been put out to pasture a while ago. And yet, after being absolutely hammered, it wasn't really any of it his fault. So, team is a bit of a shambles at the minute. The setup off the ball is not great. Looks a bit of a lack of discipline. And quite honestly, I think, I know there's going to be all season long, they appointed Lopetegui over Moyes and wanted to get better style and all the rest of it. But at the minute, I don't really see any particular style, and they're a lot weaker out of possession than they were as well. So, lots and lots of work for him to do.
Yeah, do you think not early pressure, because it is very, very early, but West Ham fans are very demanding, as we saw with the David Moyes era. It's been a pretty horrendous start, and I know this is the League Cup and you get drawn away at Anfield, which is kind of a nightmare draw for most teams, but to come here, I mean, they look good in spells, but I mean, I think that's Tadebo's first start, who was probably their big marquee summer signing. He's not really had a chance in the Premier League. He looked all right today. I think did one of the goals just deflect off him. Yeah, you look at the rest of it. I mean, Soler was a very late signing. Somerville's probably a backup winger who will probably become a starter. But other than that, I mean, I like Kilman. But the rest of the squad in here, and obviously there's players to come in like Paqueta and Kudus, the two main ones. But like, is bringing Mavropanos in going to change too much here? Not really.
I mean, if it does, then they have bigger problems.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, look, you're right. I mean, Tadebo and Ings and Creswell and Fabianski and Soler, like none of them have played more than an hour yet this season combined in the Premier League. So, there's a lot of, that's half a team basically, and they've all come in tonight and all been disjointed and all been trying to sort of combine with each other with having absolutely no game time alongside each other. And we'll obviously talk about Liverpool perspective stuff soon, but you could see the exact same thing with us from our defence, for example, and that was them, but scattered right throughout the spine of the team, basically. So it's not really a great wonder that they didn't have too much cohesion in their game tonight. But it's beyond tonight, like you say. It's not a good start to the season at all. You can overlook a couple of them, like losing against Man City or whatever, and even, let's say, Aston Villa, you can sort of overlook that if you want to because of where Villa finished last season. But just about got past Bournemouth in the last round, didn't play well against Fulham, hammered by Chelsea, and, like you said, some questionable tactical decisions in that game as well. You spoke about West Ham fans being very, very demanding and wanting more than they got from Moyes. I don't honestly know where West Ham go better than what Moyes gave them. With a trophy, a top half finish, some European football. What else are you expecting out of this league at this exact moment that West Ham can achieve?
It's the Moyes factor, isn't it? You see the fans complaining about what Moyes isn't bringing them, so he leaves, and then it goes worse and worse and worse. Ask Everton.
So we're setting up a 15-year chain reaction of shit.
Exactly.
Oh, poor bastards. They don't even know. Mind, it could game for a third time. But yeah, I mean, considering, I think most of the complaints were obviously about style of play, then to bring in Lopetegui just feels a bit weird, but we'll probably allude to it as we go on. But Jim, I'll come to you for the start of the game. I mean, my first note is basically not much has happened in the first 10 minutes, which is always a good sign. I think there was a couple of corners. Somerville wins a foul from Endo. It was just a nice touch from him, to be fair. I think he skinned Bradley, if I remember correctly. Tadebo has a chance from the resulting free kick where he heads just wide. And then West Ham have a goal that was just offside. I think Jones loses a 50-50 with Bowen. Somerville through to Ings and it's just offside. And that's about the first 20-odd minutes. I'd probably just word it as that was a League Cup start. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, the earliest highlight I've written down was it was a corner really early on. And it wasn't so much the corner, it was just that the opposition player got up holding his valuables, as if he'd been hurt in that region. And I'm not sure he had, but that was the first thing I wrote down. Then I didn't write a lot down myself after that. I'm trying to quickly skim read it now to see if there's anything in there, but there's nothing. Other than I think something that it happened early on, and it seems to happen a lot throughout the game. And this is sort of West Ham complaining about decisions, going overboard. And I think Ings was caught offside, and he was definitely offside. You look at the replay, it kind of looks offside in real time, but when you looked at the replay, he was definitely offside. No VAR tonight. Mm-hmm. And of course, the manager's kicking off about that. It just seemed to be the way it went on. But he was sure, if anything, 17 minutes in, you think, well, there's a bit of a wake-up call for Liverpool. I mean, we've had this before, teams have had the ball in the back of the net. I'm pretty sure, did it not just happen at the weekend? Wake up, stop letting them have these chances, because next time you might not catch them offside. And of course, 3 minutes later, Keystone Cops came back. We've not seen them for a while, but that just felt like the goal from them. It was an own goal, and it's unfortunate for Kwanzaa. It just felt like it's a kind of, I don't know, once you're in that position, it can go either way, can't it? The ball's going mad in the box. Someone's going to get the foot to it. Someone's going to do something. And it looked like we'd cleared it. But again, just a lack of understanding, a lack of knowing when to shout and what to shout. I think Bradley sort of managed to sort of dig it out of the way a little bit, but he just found Kwanzaa with it. And it went, and we're a goal down. And it felt like, and it's happened so much under Klopp, and I was hoping we wouldn't see as much of it this year, especially with so many early clean sheets, that we'd sort of, far too often under Klopp, if we were conceding goals, it was our own fault. It was our own doing. It was our own moments of madness, our own mistakes. And as much as I sort of love the way we always fought back under Klopp, that we always found a way, and enough always found a way to get back from behind and make up for those mistakes. I was always wishing we didn't make quite so many. And tonight it felt like they were back. But I again, as I've said a few times tonight, I'm full of understanding, because it's a back four that's just not. It's not had enough minutes together. It's not had enough minutes individually. So these things are going to happen. And as I'm sure we'll get onto shortly, we did do a bit of the old fighting back like we used to do. But you're right. I mean, 20 minutes in, I don't know. It felt like one of those games where people were still sort of trying to find the seats and that as well before. And they didn't sort of miss much, did they?
No, I mean, we genuinely could have just skipped that 20 minutes to the first goal. I probably should have, to be honest. Karl, coming at you for their goal. Maybe just a bit of rustiness in the defence. I feel like Gomez and maybe Kwanzaa especially, who I don't know if he was kind of desperate to show off, because he obviously had the starting shirt to begin the season. Maybe a bit of panic in the defence. And I think both fullbacks, well, neither of them are known for the defensive work, more so the attacking work. It just seemed a bit panicked whenever we had to defend in that first half, especially.
Yeah, it was disjointed. I thought in the first half, the fullbacks were pretty decent, in fairness, from a defensive perspective, but individually, not as a unit. We got caught a lot of times down the channel, sort of between fullback and centre back on both sides of the pitch. But one on one, I thought Bradley and Tsimikas did all right. Both of them were supporting quite nicely. Both of them were sort of trying to overlap and getting a bit of space to, be in a position to either receive the ball or put in a low ball. So it was good endeavour, I would say, more than good overall play. But definitely from a defensive unit perspective, well, there just wasn't one, was there? And as Jim said, you got to be understanding of that, because not only have they not been involved together as partnerships or sort of individually, even on the pitch, has been a really, really difficult thing for some of them to get to do. No starts for Kwanzaa since the opening game, no starts for Gomez at all. Bradley obviously has had the most minutes because he's been coming on as sub, but it's been still intermittent, hasn't it? So I think Slot's doing okay there. in terms of like making sure that people have minutes. It's obviously difficult to change centre-backs a lot without disrupting the team as a whole, but Bradley's been getting minutes off the bench in the league. We saw Tsimikas obviously start in Europe, so he's had sort of 2 starts in the space of a week. So hopefully, if that can continue, we do get a bit more availability and rhythm for sort of squad players, especially in those defensive areas, than we have done in previous campaigns, because that's definitely an area we sort of widely highlighted collectively as an area where we could potentially improve. So I'm not too bothered about not great individual performances on the night, but as long as obviously the minutes do lead to improvements as we go on.
Yeah, I'd fully agree with that. I think there's bigger fish to fry than the League Cup. I mean, I'd love to win the League Cup again, because I think we've seen other managers in the past. I think Klopp got to the final in his first season, if I remember correctly. Mourinho targeted it as a first trophy to win. And yeah, it's just the first trophy the manager can win. Like, we'd all love the Premier League and Champions League, but if we throw a League Cup in there to set the fuse off, that'd be lovely as well. But yeah, like the improvement will come in those individuals at the back. But Jim, let's just go straight to our goal then, because again, I mean, there was like a corner for us. But yeah, Jota, he had a bit of a quiet beginning, but we didn't kind of mention it, but we were playing a 4-4-2 type thing rather than our usual 10. But Jota was the one dropping and linking play. But this goal, I mean, Gakpo probably offside, if we're honest. If there was VAR, he'd probably be called offside, but does well on the left. Nice cross to Chiesa, who kind of overhead bicycle kick volleys it into the floor, and Jota just beats their defender and goalkeeper to it in the air. I mean, it's probably a typical Jota goal. I think Carragher on commentary mentioned it's foul-esque.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the first things I thought. Well, maybe later on when I'm not spoiling, but maybe there was another goal from the person. But when I think of the League Cup and I think of Fowler, I always think of his early games when he scored so many goals, 5 goals in one game against Fulham. He was just a kid at the time and really sort of made himself known on the stage. And Jota's reminded me of Fowler since we first signed him in lots of different ways. He sort of even has that little sort of cheeky look on his face at times as well when he's just done something good. And yeah, I mean, I think what I did like about this goal as well was the fact that everyone was having a go. I mean, Chiesa's not shy. He's not, it's his first start. He's only just made a sort of cameo up until now. A couple of cameos, we've not really seen much of him. And even what we have seen of him, you can see there's a player there who wants to get involved and he's fitting in really quickly. And I'm glad he made the effort, and even more glad that he just bounced the way he did. I mean, I'm sure it was a deliberate pass, to hit it off the floor like that.
Oh, definitely.
But I mean, Jota anticipated what was happening. He got up there, beat the keeper to it, and, time and again, we see him just get those. And he looks so hungry tonight. And I think, we're talking about competition and rotation and stuff. I think there's one thing about sort of having 5-6 top quality forward men and not having 5 or 6 positions for them to play in every game. There's going to be competition, and I certainly think Gakpo played out of his skin tonight at times, and Jota definitely did. And you get the feeling that, if there's one thing that competition does, it gets the best out of players, or it should do. When they get the opportunity, they take it with both hands, and Jota, to me, was doing that tonight time and again. I just love the goal. I think it took us a few minutes to get it as well. You've just got a goal down, you think, oh my God, is this going to be one of those nights? And you think, well, it's only the League Cup. And you start telling yourself it's only the League Cup. But luckily, what was it, 4 minutes later? It was, and it was a great move altogether. Just sort of cut them apart, and 1-1. And it felt like, we kind of got back, but we got the chance to get a bit of control back again. Because there's one thing about Liverpool side when the defence hasn't been having a good time is just keep the ball at the other end, because we can be so dangerous.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, I think we saw that throughout. I mean, when they went to 10 men, especially, which we'll get onto, we were just sharks in the water there, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely get onto that. But Karl's just got to go do journalism things, so I'll stick with you for the time being, Jim. I mean, Chiesa's first start, and I'm not sure how much you watched of Juventus, but he's obviously had a bit of an injury spell in the last few years. What did you make of him in his first start in red?
One thing I thought was I was wanting to see how long he'd last, because even though it's only the League Cup, it's still a Premier League opponent, and it's still, although maybe we don't play football quite the way we did on the clock, we still play it at a fast pace, and I wondered whether he'd last it out, and he lasted well. To me, he didn't go off the pitch looking like he needed someone to come on with a little golf buggy to help him get off or something, which we've seen sometimes in the past when players have made the debuts for us. And considering how long of a layoff he's had and how much injury trouble he's had, you wondered whether he would take his time to get into the squad. But I think there's a player there that's got a lot of promise. He's confident as well. He's got the experience behind him. He's not, he's not sort of waiting to be told what to do. He knows what to do. Seems popular with the other players. There's a lot. I think there's a lot to look forward to with him. And I think, I don't know, it's one of those players that you feel that sometimes people are just ready to have a go because what was the summer transfer window like? Oh, it didn't include any £100 million signings or anything. And sometimes the player that you get, who may well turn out to be an absolute bargain, I've got a feeling he could be, for what we paid for him. And sometimes that's the player that gets it in the neck because he wasn't the player that you wanted. He wasn't the £80 million player. He wasn't the £60 million player. But maybe he is that player underneath all of that. We'll wait and see. I think, but early signs are just promising. When he got the chance to run with the ball, it was interesting. I like to see how he is against other teams as well. I think West Ham played a certain way today, didn't they? Up until they were behind. I think their approach was basically to just sit back and try and get us on the break. And it can be hard to get round plays like that. But I think against some sides, we're going to see a lot of good with Chiesa. But I mean, the biggest problem for him, I suppose, is who he's up against. Because really, you feel like
it's not great.
Salah,
yeah.
It's like Kwanzaa being told, but it's you or Virgil. Well, all right, then I'll just I'll get a special cushion for the bench then because I'll be sitting there a lot. Yeah, it's going to be a while, isn't it? I mean, what about yourself? Are you pleased with what you see so far?
Yeah, I think there was one specific moment. I think he drifted over to the left and he tried to. I think he took on a couple people and drove into the box. And I wonder if that will translate to the right hand side because I feel like that'll be where he gets most of his minutes. Because we have 700 left wingers, obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like if he can translate that directness and just brutal speed into anywhere on the pitch, really, he's always going to be useful. And as you kind of alluded to there, I mean, he only cost us 10 million, but he was costing Juve 60-odd mil 4 years ago? 3 years ago, 4 years ago, however long ago it was. It's risk-free, and just having that sheer pace, like, it's a stupid comparison, but he's popped in my head now. Like, if we just had, like, say, Adama Traore to bring up, it'd be like, well, he's fast, he's a weapon. But this lad obviously can be so much more than someone like Adama Traore. But that pace is just a weapon in itself, so the quality will come. I mean, even the volley itself, I mean, it's spectacular, and he's obviously probably trying to score. We'll never know. But getting involved in that, it's your first start. You didn't have a pre-season with Juventus. It's a tough game to come into. I mean, we've kind of slagged off West Ham a little bit, but that first half, it was a tough game. And as you mentioned, they just defended quite deep, try to get Somerville on the break. It's not like if we introduced him into one of our old basketball games, he'd be absolutely lightning in space. But West Ham were not allowing space until it went down to 10 men to do.
I know, and I think the way he plays, the way you're describing, if we can see more of that running at defenders and the pace and that, I mean, that's what gets the crowd on the feet, isn't it? You know, we've talked recently about the atmosphere not being great, and we talked about how the players kind of need to help make it better, and that he's the kind of player that can do that, you know, because that's when you start to get excited, isn't it? When you see that kind of stuff.
Karl is back. Who did we get in the draw?
We've got Brighton. We are away to Brighton in Scotland.
Oh,
great.
Bollock.
Interesting match. Spurs v Man City. That's the highlight, shall we say?
What League Two club did United get?
They got soon to be potentially League Two Leicester, and Arsenal are away to Preston.
Oh, so Arsenal getting the easy draws this year. Awesome. They might actually try in a cup. Anyway, Karl, do you want to mention your thoughts on Chiesa? You probably saw more of him in his time in Italy than me or Jim. But what did you make of his first start in red?
Yeah, I thought he was lively enough. I mean, obviously, we can't expect him to be at full capacity still. Fitness-wise, sharpness-wise, match alertness, let's say. But I thought he was decent in spells. He showed little bursts of what he can do and what he can be about for us, why he can be a bit of a difference maker. I think maybe off the bench, we might look at him as a bit of a game changer of the type we haven't sort of had. It's going to be a little while before maybe he gets up to full speed, and I can see that he'll have spells in the team where he, does look really good and really decent alternative option for us. I think the biggest thing in his favour in that regard at the moment is that he can play right the way across. Like you've mentioned, he popped up in all areas tonight, and he's already played in sort of 2 or 3 different roles for us, even just from the little cameos that we've had from him. So that is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries that we can have from him. And I don't doubt for a minute that he's going to be a really good signing just because of the amount that we've paid for him in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get through the rest of the first half then. Where are you? 1-1. There was a foul penalty shout on Gakpo, but it was probably outside the box, so he just played advantage by the looks of it. Gakpo just shot, just wide, went for a corner. Backheel by Nunes in just about the halfway line, I think it was. That was nice. Chiesa nutmeg someone, led to a half chance. Darwin fouled someone a bit daftly, led to a free kick for them, but didn't come to anything, and that is half time. Into the second half then, Jim. I mean, early attack, we get a corner, doesn't lead to anything, but on the 49th minute, 2-1, lovely turn by Jones, who combines with Gakpo, and then just a absolute scrumptious through ball to Jota, and then I don't think anyone was doubting he was putting that away.
You know, I mean, when I was talking before about players sort of needing to take the chance to impress because they've not getting as many minutes as maybe they would have liked or would have hoped, I think Jones did that tonight, and in moments like that, he just showed what he's got. I mean, it's a bit of an enigma, isn't he, Curtis Jones? There's times when he's sort of almost unnoticeable in a game, and there's times when you just think there's so much more to come from him, but as he gets older, you wonder when's this going to happen. But I think when he gets chances like he had tonight to play, and he's got the confidence in him like he had tonight, it reminds you what a decent player it is that we've got. And again, when we go back to transfer windows, knowing he's amongst the squad, I mean, I'm not sure what you'd pay to replace someone like Jones. I mean, you probably wouldn't. It would cost you some money to replace someone like him. And he's still got so much to learn. Loves the club, local lad, all the rest of it. I think we've got so much to get out of him. I mean, this goal came just after they claimed for a penalty, for a handball, which was a bit dubious, and it was like the start of a pattern on that one. And I think the fact he felt like maybe to some extent they were still kind of complaining about the handball that never was, and we did the right thing, the professional thing, and just literally went up the other end and got it in the back of the net. He was Jones who'd actually sort of, I think it came from that sort of penalty shout. He got the ball, it was in his own half, and he passed it, and then he got it back, and then it was just that, as you say, that pass just through to Jota. I mean, we can try and find words to describe that pass, but I think you're better off just getting onto whatever options you've got to view goals and to go and view that goal, go and have another look at it. And I think once it finds Jota as well, he's just, I mean, he kind of does it all the time, Jota, that kind of finish, but to the point where you can almost take it for granted, but you shouldn't. There's still work to be done. There's still a keeper who's actually half decent to be beaten, and he does that. He takes the chance and does it well. And it didn't, it sort of changed West Ham's perspective, but to get a goal so early as well in the second half, it kind of, any ideas they had of how they were going to play kind of go out the window. And you're supposedly in control now. Maybe that's not quite how it worked out in the next bit of time, but there's one of the best times to score is just after half time. Although any time's good if it puts you in front, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Karl, you and Dave discussed Curtis Jones's impact off the bench in the Bournemouth game, and you said that was probably, by far his best performance in the season so far. The first half, I thought he was maybe a tad quiet, and I think I mentioned one tackle he kind of lost with Bowen, and he just didn't seem to be involved that much. But I don't know if Slot changed his role or tinkered some stuff with the team. But in the second half, I thought he was a player transformed, and he was just impactful in the pitch throughout the entire half, really. And it was a lovely start with the combination and the assist.
Sorry, did you say Cody?
Jones.
Oh, Jones, sorry. Right. Yeah, I think he was quite deep first half, wasn't he? It was quite a not a safe performance in terms of what he did with the ball, but it was very much a case of looking after position and possession, wasn't it? I think the fact that we were so much a front four a lot of the time almost necessitated that it was two real sitting players, and we were quite deep, and if the fullbacks were going up, there was no real opportunity for the midfielders to go on. And I think until probably we worked out how we were trying to settle that front four out of possession, there was quite a big gap between the midfield two and the next three, all four as well, wasn't there? So I don't think Endo or Jones really are to blame for that. It was just kind of a product of us setting up in the way that we did. But as you say, second half, it was immaculate. Like, his touch and his turn was really good. His ability to move very quickly into space. I thought even defensively, he got back into position well. He held up play well. He stopped them moving into a couple of key areas. I just thought it was a very, very good all-round performance in the end from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, other than 17 replays of a handball, that was never handball for some reason, as you alluded to, Jim. Not really much happened till some subs. We brought on Salah and McAllister, which is pretty decent couple of subs to bring on, to be fair. Chiesa and Jota come off. They bring on Paqueta and Antonio for Souček and Danny Ings. Jim, I feel like the subs were obviously impactful for us, considering the storm that comes along, but I think the subs definitely helped them in terms of quality. I think Paqueta, he wasn't exactly like taking the ball to midfield and working it through that, but Antonio's direct threat, I think he rumbled Kwanzaa a bit straight away. I think Kwanzaa gets a yellow card literally 2 minutes later on, and this was probably their best spell in the game till the third goal. Yeah,
Antonio is one of those players that people kind of laugh about, but he's actually, I don't know. I remember watching him at Anfield a game a couple of seasons ago now, and just thinking, he's a dangerous player. I don't know what it is. He's just, and people, I don't know, tend to have a little go at him and play him down, even their own fans to some extent, from some I've heard. But he's still a dangerous player, and he's a player that, he's a decent squad player at the very least, isn't he? As he showed tonight. And Paqueta, or Paquetá, however you want to pronounce his name. I always think of that Margarita Paquetá thing from years ago when I hear his name. Again, I remember him being a player who's frightened us in the past. But Bowen again was great tonight, and I think this was. I wondered what they'd do, and we knew they were going to have to change, because up until now they'd either been level or ahead, and the sort of whole game plan was going to have to change. And I think the subs came on and sort of put more emphasis on what they could do just going forward. And he made us look unsettled at times, and I actually sort of wrote a note around about this time saying maybe it's actually worth, and I'm thinking it's only the League Cup, I know, but maybe it's worth bringing Virgil on just to organise things a bit. And that wasn't really having a go at anyone in particular. I just felt at times in the back four we didn't have that kind of organisation about us. There was no one really properly taking authority, if that's the right word, in the back four. It was interesting as well when Robbo came on later on, he took the armband as well off Joe Gomez, which maybe that's just down to the order of captains and vice captains and all the rest of it.
Yeah, we have that leadership group thing, don't we?
Yeah, but it almost felt like he couldn't give it to him quick enough. And I'm not having a go at him at all, but I just think he's not a natural leader of the defence, is he, Joe Gomez? And I think Kwanzaa's still a bit too young to be the one. I'm not sure anyone would ask Tsimikas to lead anyone anywhere, really. You're just going to let him go ahead, don't you? You just sort of follow on through the aftermath. So, yeah, it just felt like, we needed to sort of get some better organisation. And it did worry me, this. I mean, this was the spell in the game when I think, I was more worried than I was when we were down for those few minutes, the goal down for a few minutes. It felt like it was only a matter of time before they were going to get something. But then as much as they say that, I mean, it always seems to be their end product, always seems to be go down in the box, claim for a penalty. Some of those penalty shouts he had, they just looked like out-and-out blatant dives. And, there's some of the borderline penalties shouts they had, which, we all know we'd all be getting, if it was a VAR game, we'd be waiting for that, check complete nod from the commentator.
We would have just started the pod now.
Well, yeah. That's it. But to me, they weren't pens. But you feel like that was part of the game plan, was get the ball up, get near the box, get down in the box, get a pen, get back into the game. Maybe they've been practicing penalties. Maybe they were hoping it was a draw at the end of full time, because I was thinking to myself about that as well. Please don't go to the pens. I cannot be bothered with that tonight.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of one cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Discover great brands like Cafe Appliances at your local Ferguson showroom.